Well, hello and welcome to the New Health Conversation. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I started the New Health Conversation a number of years ago because I think we really need it. At the New Health, what we're going to discuss today, you can see it on the screen, why diets are failing us, and we're going to show you the medical evidence. Nothing we're going to share with you today is based on opinions. Everything we're going to share with you today is based on medical proof from people like the New England Journal of Medicine, like the Journal of the American Medical Association, from Nutrients, the Nutrition Journal. I think you're going to be pretty much stunned to find out that the real truth, why, because diets are failing us. We have 80% of America overweight and 50% are obese. 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic. Does anyone really think that diets work? You're going to have an opportunity on this podcast to see the medical proof. There's no gimmicks, no tricks. We're not giving you opinions. We're going to show you, on the one hand, we're going to show you the medical studies proving and showing you that essentially the diet world of counting calories has been obsoleted by 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies that we're going to share with you here in just a moment. I have the studies in my hand. We don't give you opinions. We're not making claims. We're showing you the real medical facts. Now you can think whatever you want to think. You can base it on opinions. But when you look at the medical evidence about diets and the whole approach to lowering calories, it's sort of like this. What if everything you thought you knew about diet, exercise, and nutrition was completely wrong? Today, you're going to get a chance to see, not an opinion on our part. So welcome to the New Health Conversation. Today, we're going to just talk about why diets are failing us, okay? So you have a real opportunity today to really find out what maybe the diet course you're taking or following is completely wrong, because it is. Can anybody put in the chat why, put in the chat any diet out there that's not some form of lowering calories. But what if that turns out to be one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do for yourself? Because it is. But again, we're not going to give you opinions. We're not going to make claims. We're going to show you, I have them right here. I've got numerous studies in the New England Journal of Medicine, Journal of the American Medical Association, in Nutrients, nutrition journals, proving that the main thing, up to 40% of what you lose on any diet, is your lean muscle mass. One of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself. And it's the main reason why you lose the weight and it comes crashing back. But the weight you're putting back on is fat. It's not lean muscle. We're gonna prove it to you today. Well, we're not proving it to you. And myself, I'm the researcher of the researchers. I didn't do the research, but I'm bringing it to you. That's the whole point behind the New Health Conversation, to give you a place where you can go to see the real, absolutely the real medical proof that diets if you're on a diet and you're losing weight, you're losing the wrong kind of weight. You're actually losing really unhealthy weight. And the downside is going to be that you're going to be in a position where you're going to gain everything back. And you may not, I don't want you to believe me. See, that's part of the problem that we have on all these, they mean well. They do, these influencers. Look at every one of them. What are they telling you at the end of the day? Do paleo, do keto, count calories, lower calories, do 10,000 steps, 3 recipes to lose weight. Well, the problem is with that again, 80% of them well, maybe it's working for 20% of the people, I guess, but some of those people are maybe genetically prone that they're not going to gain weight no matter what. So today you have an incredible opportunity to really see the medical proof, and not an opinion, okay? So again, I want to share with you just briefly these 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies that weren't based on dieting, weren't based on just counting calories. It was so much more than that. And again, the results were so much more than just losing weight. There were so many other benefits that happened. Now I'm going to just show you a preview here for the first time. I'm going to show you some before and afters. These are not photoshopped. On my kid's life, on my grandkids' life, I promise you, we don't need to Photoshop anything. We have peer-reviewed human trial studies that back up everything that I'm going to share with you today. No opinions, because opinions don't matter. But wait till you see this. This first one is exactly 30 days. You can see here she lost 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches. But and look at the inches. Look at the difference in her stomach. Look at this to that right there. 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches. You think any diets ever produced anything that even resembled that? Now let's go to the second one. October 3rd to November 9th, and yes, it's the same year. Look at the shrinkage in her body. That's not photoshopped in any way, and without exercise. And then for you athletes out there, if you're on here, look at this. This is day 1, day 5, day 11, well, basically the morning of day 12. look at that, look at that transformation. This is what we're talking about here. We're talking about, this whole podcast is about why diets are failing us, because they are. And whatever path you've taken to try and lose weight, you're going to probably find out today that it's probably one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself. I know it's controversial. I know that people want to talk about that all the time. But when we have the medical proof right in front of us that this is what's going on, then hopefully you're going to be at least curious, okay? So again, we're talking about, or we're going to talk about in this podcast today, why diets are failing us. I mean, here are the numbers. 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese. I mean, come on, this is crazy what's going on. And what do? We keep listening to people telling us, with all due respect, I don't disparage them, they're telling you what they know. What they know is based on the whole mantra that we've heard, that the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Nothing could be farther from the truth in terms of people looking at the world. I mean, some people sent me a picture of New York City in 1920, and then they sent me a picture about a week ago. It's like, it's a different planet. I mean, something's happened, okay? And you're going to learn today, even from one of the biggest medical journals in the world, that right now there are over 1 billion people worldwide that are clinically obese, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition in the world. We got some serious, serious problems. And if we keep, it's kind of like that is the definition of insanity. You know that. We keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, you can go to Barnes & Noble, you can go online, you can watch on television, you can go on cable. You're seeing all these. I mean, if you go to Barnes & Noble, which I like, it'll make your head swim at how many different diets there are. But what if every one of those has completely the wrong approach? Because they do. Not an opinion on our part, not making a claim. I mean, that's just what's going on. So let's get started, and I want to show you. We're going to start out with the biggest myth of all, and that's about counting calories. Again, I don't want you to believe on the new health conversation, and I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. I've written 4 best-selling books with medical doctors. I've done 20 shows on PBS and 1,500 lectures all over the world. You know, for 20 of my 21 years, that meant 0 in the medical world, 0. They didn't care about any of that until a year ago. These peer-reviewed studies came out. It's shocking the medical world, shocking them. They've never seen results. They don't even know what to say about it. But they're excited because they really want to help their patients, obviously. That's the most important thing. But let's start at Harvard Medical School, what they're saying about counting calories. In this article, it's called Stop Counting Calories, okay? So listen, the idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, an obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach, putting the emphasis on what's in the calorie, not how many calories you're consuming. Now let's go to another article. This one, hopefully you can read it. It says why you shouldn't count calories. What did they say here? They said, while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. Isn't that your goal? Do you just want to lose your weight? You fit in your skinny jeans for a week and then you gain all the weight back and you can't fit in there again? Listen to what they continue to say. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict their calories will gain back more weight than they lost. These are not opinions. This is what's going on. Let's go to a third article. This one is termed Don't Bother Counting Calories. It's complete nonsense. Not my opinion, not our opinion at the New Health Conversation. What did they say here? Inevitably, notice the wording, inevitably, more than 95% of people will go back to their baseline weight and many will go above it. They rebound back after doing any form of calorie-restricted diet. How much more evidence do you need? Do you need more evidence? Well, then let's look at the major studies. Let's start to look at some of the big diets, so all the hype, the spin we're hearing. For example, the time-restricted eating diet, okay? This is the Journal of the American Medical Association. What did they say? The new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8 p.m., popularly known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. There's your Achilles heel to every diet out there. But let's keep going. Let's go to the New England Journal of Medicine, arguably probably the #2 medical journal in the world. They did a 12-month study where they had people lower calories, and they had another group of people that simply did time-restricted eating, where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. We just showed you in this journal in American Medical Association, where in 3 months they lost 2 to 3.5 pounds, but the majority of what they lost was lean muscle. So now let's look at this study. This is 12 months. One group of people lowered calories, the other people group didn't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. What did they find? After 12 months, the weight loss from lowering calories was 16 pounds. This is in a year. And the time-restricted eating was 12.6 pounds in a year. But again, in the study, what did they say? Both the time-restricted eating and daily caloric restriction diets led to the loss of lean muscle mass. I mean, there's more. It's not, I mean, maybe you're not paying attention quite yet. Okay, let's look at this big study done on low carbohydrate diets. We've all seen that. Cut your carbs, et cetera, okay? Listen to what they said. This is in nutrients, by the way. In this big study, they said exposure to low carbohydrate diets is associated with reductions in muscle mass and an increased risk of osteoporosis in obese individuals. What? They go on to say in the study, see, this is crazy what we're doing. We're not following the science. But they said reduced muscle mass is an established risk factor for osteoporosis and has been associated with functional impairment of obese individuals. So here we are going on a diet, we're lowering carbs, and it's contributing to osteoporosis, really? Do you see how something don't you get it? Isn't something wrong? Don't you see that, wait a minute, what are we doing? What are these people telling you? The influences, low carb diets, three diets to cut your carbs, etc. This is insane. But again, as a researcher, I'm looking at this going, wait a minute, why are none of these other influences? Why are they not saying a word about this on any of these other things that they're talking about? Now let's go, I want to show you one. This one is really amazing. This is a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It's 12 months. But in this case, it was the study of 48 different studies, not one, 48 different studies, where they looked, the title of it is Comparison of Weight Loss Among Named Diet Programs. What they did is they looked at 48 studies of almost every diet out there, from paleo to keto to Mediterranean to South Beach to time-restricted eating to fasting to Atkins to Jenny Craig Weight Watchers Nutrisystem. Here's what they found after 12 months. The least amount of weight lost on any of these big diets to the most amount of weight loss in 12 months was 10 ounces. And in a year, the people lost 16 pounds. And again, a majority, 40% of what they were losing was lean muscle mass. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the facts. These aren't opinions. And again, I'm not going to try and talk. Our job is not to talk you out of any diet you want to do. Our job is to at least show you the evidence so you can make a decision, you can make a choice. We're going to contrast that with these are seven new peer-reviewed human trial studies in journals like the Obesity Journal, the Nutrition Journal, Frontiers in Nutrition, the Frontiers in Physiology, Nutrients, in International Journal of Environmental Research, and this study just published in Nature Communications. This is the #1 journal in the entire world. In this study, what they proved was this is so much more than weight loss. They massively increased. No, the answer is not less calories. You didn't hear the first part. Let's go to Harvard Medical School. I don't want you to believe me. That is complete and utter blown out the door now. Okay, let's go to Harvard Medical School. This is stop counting calories. The idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, an obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach, putting the emphasis on what's in the calorie, not how many calories you're consuming. Okay, that's one. Let's go to another article. This one's titled, you can probably read the title, Why You Shouldn't Count Calories. What did they find in these studies, okay? While counting calories and restricting can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of the people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. Not an opinion, whoever's saying that about counting lower calories. That's the problem we have. People believe this nonsense with no medical proof. These people, not you particularly, but in general, look at they're all telling you count calories, lower calories. Well, but how's it working? Here's a 12-month study in the New England Journal of Medicine where they had one group of people lowered calories, the other group did time-restricted eating, which is code word for lowering calories. We don't eat for 16 hours, eat for 8. What happened? Well, in 12 months, the people who lowered calories lost 16 pounds in a year, and the people that did time-restricted eating was worse, 12.6 pounds. But here's what they said in the study. Both the time-restricted eating and daily caloric restriction diets led to the loss of lean muscle mass. Now let's go to another study on time-restricted eating. This time the Journal of the American Medical Association. Well, Andy, do whatever you want to do. You don't have to. Andy, all I'm telling you is this is the medical proof. Have you done a research? Have you done research projects? Have you been published in the biggest medical journals in the world? Here's what they're saying. I'm just repeating what they're saying. They're saying this, that time-restricted eating, new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8 p.m., popularly known as the 16-8, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost 2 to 3.5 pounds. And again, listen to this. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. Not up for debate. That's what's going on. Because here's the nonsense about calories. Let's say we agreed, lower calories to lose weight. There's a couple problems with that. Number one, the human body doesn't even know what a calorie is. Why are we counting calories? It's just a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. So let's look at it differently. Let's just say we agreed we'll use calories just as a measurement, okay? So we drop down to 1,500 calories, but we've got two different approaches. Approach number one is lean chicken, fish, whatever, that's 1,500 calories. Remember, we're only talking about the calories. No, Andy, you have no proof of that. That's nonsense. I'm sorry, Andy. Show me one study. Show me a peer-reviewed human, not a medical paper, not an opinion. It doesn't work. We've got 80% of America overweight and 50% of those people are obese, and we're counting calories. Are you kidding me? It doesn't work. It's nonsense. Andy, I'm going to prove to you in a moment 7 new peer-reviewed studies where the people here consume more calories than any of the diets. And yet, with no exercise allowed, they lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet. And guess what? They consume more calories than the people on these diets. I'm sorry. And if you've had results, great, celebrate that. But the medical evidence doesn't support lowering calories is gone. It's out the window. You already heard the top obesity expert at Harvard saying, stop counting calories. It's nonsense. The only thing that matters to us is what's in the calorie. That's what I said. If it was just about lowering calories, then let's go to 1,500 calories and it's 3 bags of M&Ms. I mean, it's not like I'm giving you an opinion. This is all based on medical facts. No, Colton, that's not. It's nonsense. Colton, I'm going to, again, let me show you the medical proof. Plant-based proteins, okay? I know that's what people want to do. So let's talk about protein for a minute because we can't be alive without protein, but the protein itself from a plant or an animal is complete and utterly useless to our body. The only reason we consume a protein is for what's inside the protein, the 20 amino acids. 9 are what are called essential. We have to get them from plants or animals. The other 11 are not essential, right? So in the human body, in order for us to remember, listen, Colton, the people in these studies, they weren't allowed to exercise. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. They reduced their visceral fat 33% in 8 weeks. It wasn't a plant-based diet, okay? And here's the downside to that. Again, nothing is my opinion. I don't want to make you mad. If you're a vegan, go for it. But here's the reality. When we ingest a protein, the protein itself is like a walnut shell, and it has no value to us other than carrying the 20 amino acids. So in Europe, about 8 years ago, they developed a new development. It's called net nitrogen utilization. Well, it's a fancy word meaning when we ingest a protein, we get all 20 amino acids, whether it comes from a plant or comes from an animal. But when they analyze through blood, stool, urine, and fat, they were able to determine whether it came from a plant or an animal, what percentage of the 20 was actually being used by our genes to remake us. Now, to give you an idea how important it is, we have 22,000 genes in our body. We make 22,000 different proteins, and only from amino acids, okay? So we're eating a plant-based protein or an animal protein. Well, I'm going to shock you. Plant-based protein, for example, like a pea protein, when they analyzed it, the absorption of the amino acids was 10% out of 100. 90% of what wasn't converted was turned into what are called nitrogen catabolites. This is medical proof. This isn't an opinion by Peter Greenlaw. Urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose, as in sugar. But animal proteins, they were a little bit better, but only 30%, right? Well, these researchers, and one of those amino acids called leucine is the way you make muscle in your body, even if you do strength training or whatever, okay? Yeah, there you go, JD saying that. It's 8 to 13% absorption. I'm sorry to tell you that, right? Creatine, these people didn't take creatine, okay? As a matter of fact, they, with no exercise, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, again, I'm not opposed to creatine, okay? You can do it if you want to, but you don't really need it. Let me show you a picture of an athlete here. This is 11 days. Look at this. This is day 1, day 5, day 11. Look at that. Now, the reason for that is, like I said, animal proteins are the highest in terms of the what's called net nitrogen utilization, meaning what percentage of the 20 amino acids, including the leucine, which is how you make muscle, was being absorbed. Animal proteins are 30%. The researchers in these studies found a protein source where the absorption was 91%. 91%. So you can do a pea protein at 10%, or you could do what they did here. That's why it's not. And also the other thing you need to know about, and hopefully I got a nutritionist on here will back me up, that vegetable proteins have all 20 amino acids, but the percentage, the quantity, the volume available is way less than an animal protein. And I know people have ethical reasons to be vegan, or I'm not talking about that. I'm just giving you the medical proof, the medical evidence, not an opinion. If you want opinions, there's plenty of people on TikTok and Twitter and YouTube that'll give you opinions. We're not into opinions. We don't do opinions. We're giving you medical evidence, but it's way beyond just the weight loss. Let's go. Well, not really. That's, again, Panda, again, it's a lot more complicated than this. Let me finish. So let's go back to this for just a moment. So in these studies, there's 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Men and women, 80% women, 20% men, no one allowed to exercise, okay? Number 1, they lost as much weight versus any diet that's ever been tested in 7 days. It took 8 weeks, whether it's a plant-based diet, carbohydrates, whatever you want to look at, right? The difference was, well, okay, there you go, Timothy. I mean, what can I tell you? If you look at anthropology, let's go back in history, okay? If you look at anthropology, when man switched from eating basically a plant-based existence to eating meat, especially when fire was available where they could cook it, man completely changed. The structure, the brain massively expanded. And I'm not against vegan. If you want to be a vegan, go for it. Our job is to show you the medical evidence instead of listening to all this noise, white noise. They're giving you opinions. I've never seen one of these influences hold up one peer-reviewed human trial study. Now, let's go over here and look at, because one of these studies, I got it right here. Sorry, here it is. Okay, this is a study of 48 different studies, including plant-based, okay? Now, and they named all the big diets by name: paleo, keto, Mediterranean, Cornish, vegetarian, whatever it was, intermittent fasting, Atkins, etc. This is 12 months, 48 different studies, 7,286 people. Journal of the American Medical Association, okay? Now, again, you have to understand that I don't want you to get mad at me. These peer-reviewed human trial studies done on human beings, by the way, are what's called irrefutable. They've already been reviewed by the top experts in the entire world, right? Top experts in the whole world. And what did they find at the end of a year when they compared whether it was a plant-based diet to paleo, keto, Mediterranean fasting? It didn't matter. The weight loss from the least amount to the most amount of weight in a year was 10 ounces. And the weight loss in a year was 16 pounds, with about 40% of the weight loss being lean muscle mass. Do you know you know how unhealthy it is to lose lean muscle mass? So what happens in our body, the body doesn't even run on calories, whether it comes from a plant or an animal. It doesn't give a damn about a calorie. What it cares about is nutrition. In particular, obviously amino acids are really important, but there's a lot of other things, okay? So when you lower your food intake, what else are you lowering? Your nutrition. Well, the body, once it realizes there's not enough nutrition, it goes in starvation mode. And what does it do? It goes looks for the nutrition. Where does it find the nutrition? In our organs, but particularly in our muscles. It breaks our muscles down, converting them into fuel. That's so, not only is it so inefficient, it's so unhealthy because two horrible things happen. One, the body has no choice. It slows down metabolism. But it's not just metabolism, it's what's called a basal metabolic rate. That's the rate at which you burn calories when you're resting or sleeping or not working out. But the other thing is even worse, and that is it absolutely interferes with the function of your own immune system. So whether you're going on a vegan diet or a grass-fed, I don't care what it is, the evidence is overwhelming that up to 40% of all the weight that you're losing is your lean muscle mass. Well, you're doing one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to your body. When you're impacting your own immune system, didn't we learn enough in the last 5 years how important our immune system is? Yeah, you might fit in your skinny jeans for temporarily, but I read to you what they said in these major, this is the best one I saw. Stop counting why you shouldn't count calories. They said, truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. Well, let me read that again. Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. That's not my opinion. And they went on to say, while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories will gain back more weight than they lost. That's what you have to look forward to. Some of you have done it. You've lost weight, you've gained it all back, and then you look for a new diet. Maybe you did paleo, it didn't work. Maybe you went vegan. Maybe you were macro counting, whatever. But the point is, let's look at the end of the day, 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% are obese. And 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic, including vegans, by the way. I mean, what are we doing? Do we just pretend like it's, I'm watching this influencer. She gave me 3 recipes to lose weight, to count calories. I got a fitness trainer who showed me how to cut 300 calories a day. But are any of them showing you any of the evidence? Here's another one that says, don't bother counting calories. It's complete nonsense. They said, individually, more than 95% of people will go back to their baseline weight, and many will go above it. They rebound back after doing any form of calorie-reducing diet. The experts have changed their minds, including, like I said, one of the top obesity experts from Harvard Medical School saying, drop the calories notion. It's time to take a different approach. He says, putting emphasis on what's in the calorie, not on how many calories we're consuming. And again, let's come back to these peer-reviewed, these researchers, they're the top nutritional researchers in the world for 38 years. They've looked at from vegan diets to you name it. They said, their words, that these studies will completely obsolete any diet approach we've ever had. Because these people broke the mold. They consume more calories than the people on any of these diets. Well, I'll give you the most dramatic example, and I've got it right here in my hand, is the #1 diet, in case you didn't know it, I'm holding it in my hand for 7 years in a row. It's called the Mediterranean diet or the heart healthy diet, which is what the cardiologists, Friday, I'll go over that in a minute. That's right. Exercise has nothing to do. Oh, a lot of it is. Yeah, exactly. In simplistic terms, is it eat when you're... No, Panda, that's not true. I'm sorry. Sorry to disagree with this. Especially, no, you have to... This is what they proved in the studies. One thing was called protein pacing, and the other was called intermittent nutritional fasting. So even though they were fasting nutritionally, they were having food throughout the day, but very specialized foods in very special way. That is just, I'm sorry, Panda, that's just not true. It's not eat when you're hungry. You need to eat on a schedule. They proved it. Protein pacing, my God. Wait a minute. Show me any diet. They lost as much weight in 7 days as in 8 weeks of diet. They lost as much weight, 16 pounds in a month, that took people a year on any of these other diets. How much more proof do you need? How much more evidence do you need? I mean, it's not like up for debate. This is such a breakthrough. It's going to change everything we thought about diet, exercise, and nutrition. And don't we need it? With 80% of America overweight, don't we need it? And 50% are obese, 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic. And 9 out of 10 Americans, not my opinion, according to the CDC, are metabolically unhealthy with 3 of 5 factors: overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. 92%. That means 92% of you on this podcast right now, you're metabolically unhealthy and you don't even know it. But listen to this one. They're saying now 45% of all Americans have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. What? In 1975, there wasn't one case of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. See, you can ignore any of this. You don't have to. There's plenty of people you can go and you can follow them, etc. And I don't fault them. I think they're telling you what they think they know. But it's now been disproved. Do you get it? These medical trials. But there's another huge thing you're probably not even aware of. This medical syndrome called TDOS. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office, brand new. Guess what it stands for? T is for toxicity, D is for nutritional deficiency, O is for being overweight, and S is for stress. Listen what they say. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, through the National Center for Health Sciences, has conducted a series of blood and urine tests on thousands of Americans, measuring and monitoring the absorption of chemical toxins and at what concentrations these chemicals occur in the body. Think of it as the ongoing Manhattan Project. That's how we developed the atomic bomb. The CDC, they're looking at this and just going, unfortunately, many of us contain a large number of these chemicals within our bodies, and they're creating toxic atmospheres that's seriously damaging our health, partly because many of these toxins build up over time and interact with one another in harmful ways. Wait a minute, what diet are you going on that deals with the TDOS syndrome? Because none of those do. Vegan doesn't do it. Paleo doesn't do it. Well, in these studies, where they did blood, they did stool, they did urine, they did fat analysis, they proved the body was capable of removing these chemicals from us. Evidenced by the fact that what we're actually doing is as we ingest these chemicals we can't avoid in water, air, and food, our body takes the chemical and stuffs it inside our fat cells, particularly the visceral fat. The visceral fat is the belly fat. So think of the chemical like air. So here's the fat cell, in comes the chemical, it expands. Well, in the studies, not only did they have medical evidence that we were showing herbicides and pesticides leaving the body, but the visceral fat shrank by 33%. That happened because the body was getting the air out of the balloon, if that makes sense. The main reason to even consider doing this is not to fit in your skinny jeans. That's a throw-in. Well, imagine they lost weight 12 times faster than any diet ever analyzed while gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. That just doesn't happen. Now, at any point, you can go to our website. It's absolutely free. I don't know if anybody put it up there yet. If not, I'll type it in real quickly. The new health conversation. You can go there. Oh, there, somebody did put it up for it. Thank you very much. Now, what can you see there? The medical proof, the breakdown of the studies. But there's a 1-hour interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world, not me, who says, this is what we saw. They said they'll never recommend. They've been doing this 38 years. They're the top researchers in the world. They said we'd never recommend a traditional diet again because it'd be crazy. Why would we have people go on a diet that we already know where they're losing 40% of their lean muscle, take 8 weeks to lose what we had people in the studies lose in a week, have people take a year to what we had people lose in 30 days? I know it sounds like science fiction. I know it's hard to believe. But just because it wasn't invented doesn't mean it wasn't possible. Really? And if you go to the website, it's totally free. We will not contact you. Gucci Mama, it has nothing. No, Gucci Mama, I promise I'll get to that in a moment, okay? So basically what we're talking about here is that this is going to change everything that we've ever thought about diet, exercise, and nutrition. So now let's talk about what did they do, okay? Oh, by the way, on the website, once you go there, we won't contact you, but you can set up a free consultation. Now, why would we do that? Because we don't know anything about you. Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Are you a diabetic? Do you have high blood pressure? And we're not making any medical claims. We're not treating, diagnosing, curing, diagnosing any diseases. So here's what they did, Gucci Mama. 50% of the food that the people consumed in the studies, they gave them a grocery list of proteins, fats, carbs, etc. But only 50% of the food they normally would buy. The other 5 foods that these researchers found came from all over the world. They came from as far away as New Zealand, from Nepal and the Himalayas behind me, in South America, New Zealand, etc. Now, why was that necessary? Because our food in North America is becoming more and more nutritionally deficient. Let me give you 3 quick examples. They estimate if you took an orange, not my estimate, other people have said, an orange from 30 years ago today to equal the nutrition of 1 orange, you have to eat about 6. An apple, about close to a dozen, but this was the one that blew me away. Spinach. Cornell University did a study on spinach, iron levels in spinach. From 1950 to today, they say they've decreased by 4,300%. So we're eating lots of calories with very little nutrition. So the researchers, they went and found massive amounts of nutrition in these foods that you're not going to buy at your local grocery store. So about first of all, half the food that you would normally consume, you're not buying it from the grocery store anymore. You're buying it from these people. But again, depending on what you want to do. We have people that want to gain weight. We have people that need to lose 150 pounds. I mean, it's all over the map. I promise you'll be shocked at how really affordable this is, because you're offsetting half the food you're buying that's almost nutritionally bankrupt from the grocery store. But again, imagine, people lose weight. On any of these, whether you look at Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers, the Nutrisystem, Paleo, or any of them, it took a year for people to lose as much weight as these people lost in 30 days. It's kind of like this. So gas in Denver, I just filled up, and it was like I think about $4 a gallon. And I'm making this part up. But down the street, they're selling gas for $6 a gallon. I pull in and I said, "What are you guys, crazy?" They said, "Peter, you don't understand. You can pay $4 a gallon to go 20 miles. You can pay $6 a gallon and go 100 miles. Because also what you're going to find, look, for everybody, hunger went down 41%. So even the food you're buying from the grocery store, you're going to eat a lot less of it because you're not going to crave. 41% reduction in hunger in 30 days. What's that? What's your health worth? What's your price? You want to go on a diet and lose weight where up to 40% of what you're losing is your lean muscle mass, which slows down your metabolism and impacts your immune system? What's that worth to you? So we do a free consultation with you, free. No kidding. No kidding. This is not some game. This is not some infomercial that you're watching. This podcast is changing people's lives. And what we're obviously talking about and giving the proof why diets are failing us, because they are. When I'm talking about a traditional diet now, where you rely on a regular food and you're lowering calories, it's the most unhealthy thing you could ever do. But again, remember we talked about the chemicals. We talked about, this TDOS syndrome. Well, there's a little bit more in there. What did they also say? They said this: each of these chemicals acting on its own is a potential toxic problem for human health. But multiple chemicals acting together presents a mind-numbing research project challenge for the CDC, for the chemical industry, and any independent research team that would attempt to undertake this challenge. There would literally be hundreds of thousands of combinations of chemicals with synergistic reactions to measure and evaluate for toxicity and their impact on human health. Did you all see the thing on Starbucks coffee? And I like Starbucks coffee. About 2 weeks ago, in each cup, you're getting between 50 and 80,000 microplastics in every cup of coffee. And you don't think we need to consider assisting our own body and removing this stuff from us? And you wonder why every disease statistic is exploding? But let's get some more evidence, okay? I didn't write this book. This is a really good book. It's called The New American Diet. It's by Stephen Perrin. He was the editor-at-large at Men's Health. What do they say about these chemicals? Now, what are we talking about? Herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon. See, here's the thing we need to understand. We eat whatever they eat if it's a plant or an animal. So if they're sprayed with herbicides and pesticides, we're eating herbicides and pesticides. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest things to worry about, organic is better, but not much nutritionally better, but it's less polluted, and that's why I eat organic. But by the way, these chemicals, they have a name. They're called obesogen. That's a scary word and one you've probably never heard before. But if you want to lose weight and keep it off for good and protect your body and your family from environment in this bargain, you'll need to understand the term. They went on to say obesogens act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and altering the function of our genes and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are you doing about obesogens? Did you even know what obesogens were before this podcast today? Did you even consider it? What do you think? It's just because we're eating fast food and we're not exercising, we've got 80% of America overweight? No. We're becoming basically chemical suppositories for all of these chemicals. We're storing them in our fat cells. Basically what's going on, we're evolving as a species. I already told you they're altering our hormones to cause us to gain weight. What? And you think you're going to just count calories, lower calories, and it's going to deal with that? There's no evidence that any diet. That's why this is allowing our own body to do what it always does every night. I don't know if you knew that or not. When you go to sleep at night, as long as you don't eat too late, and once you go to sleep, your body stops digestion for the most part. Your body automatically starts we already have the mechanism. It starts detoxing. It's called autophagy. That's the medical name. I just call it taking the trash out. So the body's getting rid of like dead cells and all those kind of things as we sleep every single night. Well, essentially, they were able to duplicate the same kind of I'm not sure. I don't know who is, but anyway, the point is that the body, and they did the proof. They looked at blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, seeing that the herbicides and the pesticides were coming out of the body, and as a result, the visceral fat shrank by 33%. For some of you new people, I want to just show you these are not Photoshopped. I promise on my kids' lives, I promise on my grandkids' lives. These are not Photoshopped. And you can make your own, you can decide, do you think they are? They're not, okay? This is exactly 30 days. This woman didn't even have that much weight to lose. She lost 21.2 pounds. This is in 30 days, by everyone, and 38.75 inches. Look at the difference in her stomach. Look at this. That's 30 days. 21 pounds. How about 21 pounds in a month? Would that excite you? And this one is even more telling. Now, this was 5 weeks. So this is day 1, October 3rd, and November 9th. Now, no, not a year later. This is like 5 weeks. Look at the difference in her body from her neck all the way down. What, you think we made that up? You think we Photoshopped it? I mean, I guess you can think whatever you want. We didn't. And if you go to our website, the New Health Conversation, you'll see many more, even more dramatic pictures, way more dramatic than anything I'm showing you here. Way more dramatic. And you'll also see I'm not sure, spelling error, typo. Where was the typo? Sorry, I don't know where it is. Lost 21 pounds. I'm not sure. Well, if there is, I mean, I can't change it now, so whatever. Just the typo doesn't change the result, okay? Let's be clear. But again, you understand, we're facing something with the wrong approach. We keep being told that the only way to to lose weight is to lower calories or lower energy. Have any of them ever told you that the calorie means nothing to the human body? The human body doesn't count calories, doesn't even know what a calorie is. Why are we counting calories? Someone told us to. The only thing our body cares about is nutrition. So let's not use the word calorie anymore. Let's just say food consumption. You want to lose weight, you're going to consume less food. But did you ever even consider that when you're doing that, you're getting less nutrition and it forces your body into starvation mode? And in starvation mode, the body goes to look not for calories, it goes and looks for nutrition. And where does it find it? In our organs, particularly in our muscles. It starts in our muscles. It literally converts our muscles into carbohydrates for fuel to power us. But that's really inefficient. So then what does the body have to do in response to less fuel? It slows down our metabolism. It's actually called your basal metabolic rate. That's the rate at which you burn calories when you're sleeping or resting or sitting at your desk. But the other thing it does is even worse. It interferes with the functionality of our immune system. Isn't our immune system kind of important to us? I mean, do you think it is? Based on the last 5 years? Look, does anyone on here not think we need a new approach? Does anyone think, based on the medical evidence I presented to you, that counting calories is a good idea when, we got, one of the top obesity experts in the world from Harvard Medical School. You got this article, you shouldn't count calories. The truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help people to lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count and restrict their calories will gain back more weight than they lost. That's what you're facing. Maybe you're lucky, but when they're saying 2/3, I mean, maybe you feel lucky. Maybe you'll be part of the 1/3. But the basic premise is when you lower the amount of food you're consuming and ignoring the nutritional values, you're setting yourself up to lose, which you're doing, you know. But the point is, the point is that you can do whatever you want to do. Our only job at the New Health Conversation was to show you the evidence, okay, to give you an alternative. The alternative is, for example, let me go back to the New England Journal of Medicine, the second biggest probably medical journal in the world, where they did a 12-month study. If this doesn't convince you, I don't know what would. Where they took two groups of people for 12 months. One group, they lowered their calories, the mantra over and over we're hearing. And the other group, they did time-restricted eating, the other big buzzword now. This is 12 months. After 12 months, by doing calorie restriction, they lost 16 pounds. This is in a year. And by time restricted, they did even worse. It was 12.6 pounds in a year. That's 12 months. That's a little over a pound a month, okay? Now, the other thing is this. In the study, both the time-restricted eating and daily caloric restriction diets led to the loss of lean muscle mass. Every one of these studies has said that. And here's one I read from it before, but I'll come back to it. In nutrients, this was about low carbohydrate diets. That's been a big buzz, right? Well, listen to this. In the study, exposure to low carbohydrate diets is associated with reductions in muscle mass, but an increased risk of osteoporosis in obese individuals. What? And they say this, reduced muscle mass is an established risk factor for osteoporosis and has been associated with the functional impairment of obese individuals. I mean, you're going to do a low-calorie diet now? Are you going to do a low-calorie diet now? What it's going to take to convince you that what we've been told is not intentionally, but it's completely wrong. You know, we had someone on earlier that said, well, the only way to lose weight, again, the mantra, we're like lemmings, you know, let's just walk off the cliff together. If counting calories worked, you couldn't have 80% of America overweight and 50% obese. You couldn't. Because there's no diet out there that is not based on, it's not 100% based on what? Lowering calories. But again, we've talked ad nauseum today about why diets are failing us. Well, it's pretty obvious. The approaches that we're taking just, they can't and don't work in the long run. I keep going back to this one really powerful, they did a study and they said, truth is calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse, 2/3 of the people who try to count or restrict calories gain back more than they lost. And yet you can go to our website for free. It's absolutely free. Let me type it in there again for everybody. And what are you going to see when you go there? Well, you're going to see the medical studies. Here's the thing I promise you. If you go to the website, we will not contact you. We don't need to. But if you like what you see, because the medical studies are there, both on traditional diets and this new revolutionary, diets are obsolete as far as the researchers are concerned. There's a 1-hour interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world, and there's a breakdown, a walkthrough, about a 20-minute video showing you exactly what they did, you know. What do you eat? Well, I do organic as much as I can. I do lean proteins. But, you know, I've been doing this, just to give you an idea, Gucci Mama, I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 20 years. Now, I'm not worried about, like I'm going to go out tonight and have a big steak. I still eat pizza, just nowhere near as much and as often. I'm not on a diet, okay? This whole program, Gucci Mama, is called, we can see it there. I'm the researcher of research, but that doesn't matter. R2M stands for race to maintenance. So our whole goal is to get you to your goal. Exercise, okay, again, Gucci Mama, the people in the studies were not allowed to exercise because they didn't want exercise to be an outlier. And yet, they lost weight 12 times faster than any diet. Instead of losing lean muscle mass, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, the researchers are not against exercise. But in the studies, the reason that they limited the exercise, they didn't want that to be an outlier. Yeah, exactly. They didn't want it to be a factor. Now Gucci Mama, if you want to exercise, it's even better. But you have to understand, they wanted to prove with this, what they did was, and again, let me go over for everybody, the new people coming on. They did 4 amazing things. In these 7 new peer-reviewed studies, the top researchers in the world for 38 years, you know what they're saying now? That these studies will prove that diets, counting calories, lowering calories is completely obsolete. Don't even think about doing it ever again. So what happens is that in the studies where the people did 4 things that the researchers had them do. Number 1, half their food came from the grocery store and they gave them a grocery list, the researchers did. The other 5 foods came from all over the world. They came from Russia and Mongolia, Manchuria. They came from Nepal and the Himalayas, from South America and New Zealand. Now, why was that important? Because our food alone in this country is becoming more and more nutritionally bankrupt. This is not supplements. So they went and found suppliers that had researched or resourced foods from as far away as New Zealand, from as far away as Tibet and the Himalayas. So they used these 5 foods in conjunction with regular food. So number 1, you're only buying about half the food you typically would buy from the grocery store that's nutritionally compromised and getting this amazing nutritionally dense food. And then they had them do very specific consumption. Like someone said, eat when you're hungry. No, 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 no. They did something called protein pacing. Just think of the word, pacing. It was consuming, in this case, protein at very specific times, but very consistently, okay? And the other thing they did was intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. They literally were having food while they were, in essence, fasting. There's nothing like this. It's like it's almost silly to compare these 7 peer-reviewed studies with any of these studies, including, this is a big one I think that, I often refer to. Let me find it here. So here's a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association for all, even the new people. 48 different studies, 7,286 people, where they looked at every kind, they named all the big diets, from vegan diets to paleo, keto, Mediterranean, et cetera, 12 months. 48 studies, 7,286 people. So understand, everybody, I'm not giving you opinions. I'm not making claims. I'm just reading from the studies. At the end of 12 months, it didn't matter, but from the least amount to the most amount lost was about 10 ounces. But in a year, they only lost 16 pounds, and about a big portion of what they lost was lean muscle mass. That's the whole point. That's the whole point to the whole thing. So, like I said, you can, I don't know, sometimes I feel like, people think that I'm like trying to disparage people, and I'm not. But I'm fighting for you. At least fighting in terms of just giving you the truth. Now, maybe you don't like the truth. Maybe you don't want to hear it. It's like, that's why a lot of people don't go to the doctor, because they don't want to, potentially they don't want to hear any bad news. And yet, preventative intervention is something that we're going to have to do, because our healthcare system is, if we've got 50% of Americans pre-diabetic, do you understand what that could mean? Or let me give you another statistic. CDC has said that 92% of the American population is metabolically unhealthy with 3 of 5 factors: overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. Let me tell you what a risk factor it is right now. Of the total healthcare budget, 4.5 trillion with a T, not billion, trillion, 1.2 trillion of that is metabolic dysfunction, meaning they're treating 3 of those 5 factors: overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. $1.2 trillion. And we're at 92%. And they keep telling us that the way to health is to lower calories. It's just so illogical. Why aren't they telling you that the only way to get healthy is through nutrition, nutritional density? If you're consuming food that's essentially nutritionally almost bankrupt, why are we doing that? Because no one's telling us any different. Well, we are. Our whole modus here at the New Health Conversation is to give you choices. Let's look at the results. These are not photoshopped, I promise you. And the first picture is 30 days. This woman didn't even have much weight to lose, but I think, yeah, you can see it. She lost 21.2 pounds in 30 days, 38.75 inches. Look at the evidence. Look at her stomach. She's not holding her stomach in. Or look at this young woman who, this is 5 weeks, day 1, October 3rd, not November. Look at this. It's not fake. It's not photoshopped. Have you ever seen anything like that in 5 weeks with no exercise? Or for athletes, look at this. From day 1, day 5, day 12. Look at that. I mean, that was someone that was already in shape on day 1. But look at what happened. It's crazy. And I know I keep repeating myself only because it's like I want you to at least have an understanding of what's before you, of what you could do if you want to do it. Okay, which book did I? This book here, The New American Diet, a really good book by Stephen Perrin. You can get that book. And then I also held up this book, which is even more important, the TDOS syndrome, which everybody on this call and every person in the world has the TDOS syndrome. And these, ironically, these medical studies, what did they do? They reduced toxins in the body. They reversed from nutritional deficiency to, overweight went down and stress lowered in the body. Like I said, the main reason to do this is not to lose weight. You know, it's absolutely, oh, okay, hold it one more time. Okay, can you see that? The New American Diet? Everybody see that? And then the other one was this book, TDOS syndrome, TDOS syndrome. Okay, those are two of the books that I held up anyway. I mean, there's more and more and more medical evidence. But for anybody on here, okay, for anybody on here, aren't you at least curious? And you can go to the website. Let me put it up there one more time. I spelled it right, I think. The New Health Conversation, okay? If you go there, it's free to go there. There's nothing, we're not going to contact you if you go to our website. You can contact us by filling out a free consultation. It's free. There's no tricks. It's not a bait and switch. It's not somebody at an 800 number trying to sell you something. The reason we do free consultations, we don't know anything about you. Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to gain weight? What do you want to accomplish? You know, we have one gentleman that had a heart transplant about 6 months ago. We've got a couple people with kidney transplants. We've got people that have, really thyroid issues where they had their thyroid removed. And again, we're not treating, curing, making medical claims. We're not preventing anything. All we're doing is showing you that at a minimum, the 5 factors that contribute to being metabolic and healthy all went down significantly in just 30 days. That in and of itself should be interesting enough to you. So, yeah, low thyroid, well, all kinds of thyroid, Hashimoto's, low thyroid, hyperthyroidism, goiter, etc. Because, again, your body has never experienced nutrition at these levels before. It's the body doing the miracle. The researchers just found the right things to put in the body, but how they consumed it, when they consumed it, how much they consumed it, that's what protein pacing and intermittent nutritional fasting are all about. This could be life-changing for every one of you. Every one of you, this could be completely life-changing. And again, you can see it up there, the New Health Conversation, the New Health Conversation. It's really cool to see people go there and just get lit up because they're so excited about the results. No. Protein pacing, P-A-C-I-N-G. Let me type it in there again. There you go. Hopefully, I did spell it right. Protein pacing. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, exactly, pacing. But Gucci Mama, this is a totally different, you've never done anything like this. Also, Gucci Mama, you'll love this part. If you decide, any of you decide to do it, you get a free coach. Not somebody in 800 number. I mean, somebody's actually done this and been trained. And the other thing is the 5 foods you buy from the suppliers, the first 30 days on this, 100% money back guarantee. Try to do that with keto or paleo or time-restricted eating or any of these people that are, promoting that stuff. This doesn't. But the suppliers were willing to do it because they've got the medical proof. But no questions asked if you were, whatever it is, right? Only 5, I'm not quite, 5 basic foods in addition to the food you'd buy from the grocery store. You'd actually get a grocery list that you can take shopping. You also get the daily schedules. There's also a lot, well, it's a video coaching system called the Blueprint for Success, which also walks you through, along with, you're going to have a live coach as well. Because we need to teach you how to do this. It's completely different than anything you've ever done before. It's complicated. But that's part of the reason also to do a free consultation. But even on the website, it'll walk you through. It's called, how do you do the R2M protocol? Because this is called R2M, which is race to maintenance, okay? Low T3, yeah, exactly. That's a big problem with thyroid because it's actually your free T3 that really is the thing you want to be concerned with, okay? So we've seen great results with people with that were on Synthroid, Armor, whatever, with the help of their doctors. Always with the help of the doctors, not us. They were either able to greatly reduce the amount of that medication they took, or in some cases completely eliminating it. You know, everybody's different, and we would never make a promise like that. That'd be ridiculous. And then it would be a claim. We're not claiming anything. We're saying if you get the principle of flooding your body with massive amounts of nutrition in the fewest calories possible, back to the gasoline station. You can pay $4 a gallon, you can go 20 miles. You can pay $6 a gallon, you go 100 miles. Do you realize how much more efficient your car would be if you could actually do that? Be amazing, but now you can. Yeah, I know. I mean, Gucci, I'm responding to you at the same time. I'm trying to concentrate on what I'm saying. So anyway, let's wrap up this podcast, and I hope you will take the time to go to the newhealthconversation.com and see for yourself the medical proof, and if you want, sign up for the free consultation. It's free, okay? So I'm going to sign off now one last time. You can see the New Health Conversation right there. I hope you'll go there, and I hope you will treat yourself to it's free. People say all the time, how much is a free consultation? No, I think free means free, okay? So the rest of you have a wonderful rest of your night. I hope you're doing something fun on a Saturday night, and I will be doing probably 3 or 4 of these tomorrow, okay? I mean, as far as podcasts. And if you like what you saw, go to my TikTok and like it. Go to my my other media outlets and like what I'm doing, okay?